From Craig Rolson in Europe, David Gerber in Brazil, and our editor-in-chief and publisher, Don Oshman, it's time for this week's Sunday Night Week in Review.
Good evening. It's time once again for the HideNet video Week in Review on the European, Latin American, North American markets that HideNet covers. Each week, it's Sunday night, June 8th, 2014. In Europe this week, our Craig Rolson reports that tanners seem to be holding back and buying very much volume, expecting lower prices. Meanwhile, the abattoirs and dealers and traders aren't yet pushing prices any lower, so it's just been a very, very quiet week. Cows are still the weakest selection over there, and some people think that further declines are still possible because of the Chinese situation that hasn't really changed that much, hasn't improved. The sheep and lamb market, which has been coming down, is trying to seek a floor. Whether that's going to be successful or not remains to be seen. Craig goes into that in great detail to give you an idea of what's happening there. Some Italian buyers, some Italian tanners are only interested now in hides for September, October. In other words, after vacations. And although vacations are really a good month away and more, that mentality is starting to set in. The calfskin market, to surprise, maybe perhaps also seasonally, is also experiencing a little softer undertone, and Craig goes into that in detail as well in this week's European market report. In North America this week, it was a quiet week. Most people don't think that the production, which was the highest of the year, I think a little over 610 or 20,000 hides, did not all get sold. And some people think, well, the numbers showed that last week or 2 weeks ago, packers didn't sell all they produced as well. So this could put some pressure on the market, but that remains to be seen. And of course, we discussed that in this week's U.S. Week in Review. Prices were generally steady the past 5 trading days. Steers sold between $110 and $116 CNF, depending on the selection. Wet blue sold between $125 and $130, again, depending on selection for American packer steer hides. Cow slaughter is lower, and still the price gets easier. However, this week and last week, the declines were not so apparent on branded cows, and maybe a floor is being reached there, but that's not definite yet. But the production is down substantially, and we talk about those statistics in this week's report on the cow situation and the slaughter and where it's going and where it's been. There's a pending West Coast dock strike that is scheduled for June 30th. Should that come to pass, all shipments out of America, out of the West Coast, where the predominant majority of them go, 98, 99%, will be halted, won't be able to be shipped. That could have great ramifications in the market. Will it happen? How long will it last? That all remains to be seen. This week, statistically, slaughter, which was, again, over 600,000 for the first time this year, exceeded both sales and shipments. Another bearish signal. But the pundits in the market, including HideNet, are seeing a mixed direction because prices really haven't dropped more than 3% from their actual peak in steers after rebounding a few weeks ago. So our predictions, which are 85% correct, are not 100% correct. But get a report, get a trial subscription, subscribe, and see what we think is going to happen this next week in the American market. Again, we're only correct 85% of the time. Latin America, Brazilian prices are running between $1.95 and $2.05. Volume has picked up because it seems that the market has found a point where there's a trading level. Fresh hide prices are still very high, and tanners are still stressed by operating margin. Argentine slaughter is still low. Brazilian slaughter is coming back a little bit, and prices in Central America are generally steady, except Colombia, and we have a little story about that in our Latin American report this week. The next 2 weeks, we won't be able to report next Sunday and the following Sunday due to travel because your reporter is on his way to Europe for his daughter's wedding and for Craig Rolson's son's wedding back in America. So we'll be out of commission for these reports for the next 2 weeks, but we'll be back on June 28th with the latest market news then. In the meantime, HideNet.com, your source of the market information that can make you money. Thanks for watching.